I just did a show on meditation. Actually, I did 2 shows on meditation, one many, many months ago and just one recently. And the questions are just pouring in. What actually is meditation is what I covered in the show, and exactly how to meditate and exactly what the benefits are. But we got a ton of questions, and I want to go through some of those questions today. First one, it says, Kevin, you talk on the show about the many benefits of meditation. And folks, there are just many, many physiological health benefits, as well as emotional benefits, as well as increasing your ability to manifest what you want. And then there's the benefits of improving relationships. So I talk about that on the show, all the benefits that have been scientifically proven and documented of proper meditation. Probably not what you're doing, but if you do proper meditation, there's this litany of benefits that have been substantiated and documented. I talk about that on the show. But the question here is, but Kevin, what's the one real purpose of meditation? Is it to reprogram your subconscious, tune in your frequencies to help shift your brain waves, connect to your higher self? Great question. The real benefit of or purpose of meditation is not to get all the great benefits. And you could meditate because you want to have, better sleep and less stress and less anxiety and be happier and more joyful and have better relationships and be able to manifest what you want. Sure, those are all really side benefits. The main purpose of meditating is one technique that has been around for tens of thousands of years that have been proven to release and eliminate the samskaras that are in your energetic field. All right, samskara is a Sanskrit word that comes from India, very ancient, that really translates into energetic imprint. In the West, we call that an engram. The medical field calls it an engram. It's an energetic imprint, and it's heavy, and it contains emotion and energy as well as programming. That's in your field running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week as a counterintention to all the things you want in life. So they're stopping you or preventing you from getting what you want in life. Those samskaras or energetic imprints also key in or activate or come to surface. Sometimes we call it having your buttons pushed. Something happens in life and one of these energetic imprints comes to life. It gets keyed in, it gets activated, it comes to surface. And when it does, you have an uncontrollable and irrational emotion. The real purpose, however, of meditation is not to just get rid of these or eliminate them or reduce them. The real purpose of meditation is to raise your frequency so that you can connect to source and be anchored in the state of oneness, which is a state of pure bliss, pure consciousness, pure awareness. The real purpose of meditation, thus, is enlightenment, self-realization, spiritual liberation, and freedom on all levels and all dimensions. That's the real purpose that people meditate. And they do a whole host of sadhana, that's the Sanskrit word from India, or spiritual practices. And in Christianity, you do, in Judaism, you would do the mitzvahs, either things that you do or things that you avoid doing to attain this higher level of consciousness and awareness, this liberation, this freedom. That's the purpose. The purpose is to connect to source so that you can be anchored in that state of perpetual bliss, so that even though you might experience pain in life, you never suffer. That you actually have full awareness and consciousness of who you really are. Thus, you go through life in a state of perpetual, never-ending bliss and joy. That's really the purpose. Unless you eliminate those energetic imprints or samskaras, it's going to be impossible to reach those higher states. Meditation is just one tool. It's not the only tool, but it's just one tool that has been proven through tens of thousands of years to help you get to that state. Next question is, thank you for the show on meditation. What about the teachings of Osho? By the way, Osho, a lot of people don't know, his real name, his original name was Bhagavan not Satchitananda. That was the guru who did the Rajneesh. Bhagavan Rajneesh. He then changed his name to Osho. There's actually a pretty interesting documentary on Netflix called Wild Wild Country, which talks about the Bhagavan Rajneesh and when he opened up the commune in Oregon and people got murdered, and he had 97 Rolls Royces, and they said, who is this guy? And there was free sex, and it's an interesting thing. And then he changed his name because of the bad publicity with Bhagavan Rajneesh. So he changed his name to Osho, and he has some teachings. So he has some very specific meditations, as does Yogananda with the Self-Realization Fellowship. He calls it Kriya meditation. And there's a whole host of specific types of meditations. All of these meditations, as I talk about in the show, including guided visualizations, have some benefits and are good. There's nothing wrong with doing any of them. But none of them are pure meditation, as I explain in the show. When you do pure meditation, which is the simplest thing in the world to do, that's when you get the majority of benefits, or the most benefits, or the most releases of samskaras, or energetic imprints. Next question is, how often do you meditate, Kevin? Well, years ago when I was starting off, I would meditate every single day, 7 days a week, without exception, for decades. In the morning for 20 minutes, and in the afternoon for 20 minutes at a minimum. And on some occasions, I would go longer, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour. And then on some occasions, when I was living in the cave for 7 months, I would meditate virtually all day long. So 8 hours a day, I was meditating for 7 months in a row while living in the cave in the Himalayas. So over my lifetime, I've always meditated every day in the format or the form that I describe in the show, 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes at night. But as I also mentioned in the show, when you get a large amount of your samskaras or energetic imprints released, and you're in a higher dimension 24/7, you don't have a lot of things that are keying in. When you get to that point, every moment of the day can be a state of meditation. As you're eating, you are meditating. As you're driving, you are meditating. As you're exercising, you are meditating. As you're watching a movie, you are meditating. As you're having sex and making love, you are meditating. So meditation transcends a specific meditation technique into a way of life. It's something that you're doing all the time. Because once you do the basic meditation procedure long enough and release the samskaras or energetic imprints so you don't have them bogging you down. Just imagine a hot air balloon, and you're in the basket and you want to reach up in the sky, and you're trying to fill the hot air balloon with hot air so that it'll pull you up. And you keep filling it up, but you don't seem to move. And you think, boy, no matter how much hot air I put in this balloon, I'm not getting off the ground. What's the problem? The problem is you have sandbags that are weighing you down, and you're tied to the ground. So no matter how much hot air you put in the balloon, unless you untie the things that are strapping you and keeping you tied to the ground, you're not going to lift off. And if you untie the ties, and now you're no longer tied to the earth, and you keep filling up that hot air, maybe you lift off a little, but unless you get rid of the sandbags, you're not going to lift off and go into the higher dimensions. And the same thing with spirituality. Next question is, great show, Kevin. But why do I feel restless or uncomfortable when I meditate? Why do I get so distracted when I'm meditating? Everyone, when they first start meditating, they're going to be restless, and you're going to feel like you're getting distracted. As I talked about in the show, when you're sitting in meditation and you're focusing on your point, whatever that is, as I describe in the show, you need to watch the show. At some point, thoughts are going to come in. That's normal and natural, and that's what you want to happen. And you don't get upset. This person's obviously, why am I restless? That's the whole point. You will be restless. You will be annoyed. When those things come up and you notice it, in a state of neutrality, you just go back to what you're focusing on. that allows those things to release. The fact that you are restless or getting distracted means you need meditation more than anyone. I go into anywhere. I'm at the airport. I'm at a restaurant, and I'm eating by myself at the bar. I'm at a doctor's office where I'm sitting waiting for something. I'm at the DMV and I'm sitting waiting to get my license renewed. And I'm sitting there and I just sit and look around. And everyone is restless. Everyone has to be either watching a TV, because in every office now they have TVs, because they just can't be with themselves, or they're playing on their phone. In the old days, people would be picking up a magazine and reading a magazine or a newspaper. They couldn't just sit. Think about that. Because they have so many energetic imprints that they're stimulated all the time and agitated, and they need distractions. So if you feel like you have a lot of distractions or restless, this really means you need meditation more than anything, because you have a lot of active energetic imprints that are preventing you from being fully aware of who you really are and reaching higher states of consciousness and awareness. Meditation can get you in touch with buried and suppressed emotions, even anger and fear or jealousy. Boy, this person must be an expert in meditation, because they're not asking a question, they're telling me. Is that good, and how do you deal with it? Well, the real question should be, Kevin, when you meditate, can you get in touch with buried and suppressed emotions, even anger or fear or jealousy? And if so, is it good, and how do you deal with it? That should have been the question. But this person is making a statement of fact without even considering there could be another option. When you meditate, you're not getting in touch with buried or suppressed emotions, anger and fear or jealousy. That's not what's happening. You are releasing energetic imprints, and there's a huge distinction and difference. The emotion of anger or jealousy, these emotions are things that come up as you deal with circumstances in life. If somebody walks up to you on the street, spits in your face that you didn't know and started calling you names, you might get angry. And probably that's a rational response. And you might even feel like pushing or hitting the guy. And that could be a rational response. But if that same situation happened and you became enraged in an uncontrollable way, that's probably not so good. And if you're in the street and a horn beeps by a car going by and you became enraged and wanted to punch the guy and start screaming at him, that's not only an uncontrollable emotional reaction, but it's an irrational one. That means a samskara or an energetic imprint is keying in or activating or coming to surface. One of your buttons are being pushed. So when you meditate, you might be pushing some of your buttons. That means you're activating samskaras. And that's perfectly good. And that's exactly what you want. So the question is, how do you deal with it? Exactly as I describe in the show. When you sit and meditate, when you notice any thought, and even add, if you notice any emotion, that means you're not focusing on what you're supposed to be focusing on, either the breath or the mantra. Without emotion, as best you can. And in the beginning, you might get mad at yourself. You might be critical of yourself. You might get frustrated. That's okay. As best you can, in a state of neutrality, simply go back to what you were focusing on and allow that to transcend and be transmuted. Can you meditate too much? I read about a meditation retreat where several people experienced what they described as an addiction to meditation. They had hallucinations, and that it didn't feel very healthy or positive for them. Any thoughts? We hear stories from somebody. We don't know what's true and what isn't. I've been around people who meditated for right now, I'm 60, in my 60s. So this is over 50 years that I've been meditating. Well over 50 years. I started very young. And I've been with people that have meditated their whole life, people in their 70s, 80s, and 90s. I've been with people who've gone to retreats and meditated 10, 12 hours a day. I myself, as I mentioned, was in a cave for 7 months and meditated all day long. I've been with other people that have meditated for that long, and some for years, that they would go into an ashram and basically become a hermit and just meditate for years. And they're incredibly lucid. They haven't had hallucinations, and they didn't have any negative effects. So I don't even know if this is true, but if somebody goes to a retreat and does some intensive meditation, I don't know what type of meditation they're doing. Do you? Maybe it wasn't meditation at all. I know people that have gone to meditation retreats and go, Kevin, this was a great meditation retreat. We had this guide with us who would basically tell us what to see and I go, so you weren't meditating, you had guided visualizations all day. Oh no, they said it was meditation. I go, I know what they said, but if somebody was talking, telling you, go to the river or see the clouds, you had a guided visualization. And what were you eating? Oh, we were on a very light vegetarian diet, or we were fasting. Well, heck, if you're fasting and you haven't done it before, there's a good chance you have low blood sugar and you're going to have some issues. So the point about this is I don't know any of the facts. And the question is, can you meditate too much? No. But you shouldn't be meditating that often. The most you should be meditating is twice a day for 20 minutes each time. That's the most. Look, you're not even close to getting into areas where you need to meditate more. And quite frankly, if you start meditate longer periods of time, there's a point of diminishing returns. In other words, you can meditate for 3 more hours a day and you get 2% more benefit. So the time versus the benefit really doesn't make a lot of sense. People who do that are at a different state, at a different place, and that's not you. And they only start getting into those long amounts of meditation many, many years after they have meditated twice a day for 20 minutes a day and released a lot of samskaras. So I hope that hurts. If you have, I hope that helps. Not hurts. I hope that helps. So if you haven't watched the 2 shows I did on meditation, I think we're going to put it in the description area where you can click on them. There's 2 excellent shows that I did on meditation. Strongly recommend and endorse you review them. This is something you can consider. It's not a requirement. It's a tool in your toolbox, and I can say that it would be helpful for everyone, but it's not for everyone. And if this is not for you, that's okay. There's a lot of other tools and options you can do to increase your awareness and consciousness and release these energetic imprints that are holding you back in life. Much love, everybody. See you next time on the show. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching. If you're ready to access the secrets and insider strategies that I learned that can change everything for you, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Every Wednesday at 9 o'clock Central, we upload a brand new and hopefully thought-provoking show. The mission? The goal? What's in it for you? Well, I want to give you the knowledge and know-how to break free and unlock limitless potential in every area of your life. If you have questions or comments, make sure you put them in the comments section. I read every single comment. Also, make sure you share these videos with friends or family members to help them create the life that they want. And be smart. Follow me on all social media platforms for new and different content that I put up every single day.